All right, first thing we're gonna talk about is the fundamentals of the jab. Like every other punch, it starts with the feet. That's your source of power, your source of balance, and it's where your center line is. And every time you want to employ your offense, it should always come from having good foot position. So I'm gonna do another video on the center line, but when we're in our fighting stance, you wanna make sure that we've got a robust center line, so we've got enough space that we can shift our weight and then concentrate our force on the center line. And remember, the defensive component of that is this is where all your vital organs are, and you want to stay off of the center line of your opponent. So as your opponent advances, you always want to have an angle oblique relative to your opponent. So first thing, when we throw our jab, I want you to concentrate on bringing the front foot forward. It doesn't have to be a very large step. In fact, it shouldn't be a very large step. But what we want to do is we want to make sure that we're bringing our weight forward in our hips, right? As if we were dancing. While we take that step forward, we're going to pull our weight forward in the hips. So instead of stomping our foot down, bringing our shoulders forward, we're going to keep our weight in our hips, and we're going to keep the shoulders over the hips. At no point do we want to lean forward. It's a tendency that people start to lean. Instead, if you want to come in and try to shoot for the body, you want to maintain the angle of your arm trajectory away from the body as straight. And that's demonstrated by the fencer's paradox, right? Like, if I'm here, I can hit this distance, but I can't hit that spot on the body farther away because, right, the rest of our body is going to be pulled farther back. And the other thing is our arm shortens as we drop away from coming straight out. So when I want to attack the body, I'm going to maintain the same posture, and I'm going to stab in by taking a longer step, and then I'm going to pull myself back up into an upright position. So while we're throwing this jab, we take that small step forward, we bring our weight forward in our hips, and our shoulders do not come out of alignment from our hips. I'm not going to lean forward. I'm going to take that step, and my shoulders stay over my hips. Same thing when I slip, I'm not going to lean, right? You can't counter strike from a leaned position. So instead, when you slip, you squat, and you keep your shoulders generally centered over your hips. So next thing, as I'm bringing my weight forward in my hips, I'm not going to accentuate the rotation into that jab. You see people do this, right? The problem with it is the first thing that the human eye identifies like visually is lateral movement. So if I'm going to do this with my shoulder, I'm actually detracting the likelihood of being able to land the jab. And that's not what you want to do. A jab is not a power shot. So the trade-off of the power that you get from this is not commensurate with the price that you pay in your ability to land the jab. I know there's people out there that are going to disagree with that. That's fine. They're welcome to their incorrect opinion. So when I step, I want to have a jab that comes straight out. It whips out straight and then comes right back. Notice how my elbow doesn't rotate out. The whole purpose of turning your fist over when you're wearing gloves is so that you don't hyperextend your elbow. If you're going to do this and whip your jab like a slat, there's no point in trying to turn your fist over. So you keep the elbow down and you use these muscles right here for the intended purpose of rotating the fist, right? Of course, there's going to be some natural movement, right? But if you look, generally, the elbow is going to stay down. That helps to add with the whipping motion that comes with a good jab. You want it to stab like a piston, and you don't want it to be a slap. A good jab is going to whip by virtue of you slinging your elbow out as fast as you can and turning the fist over at the end of the punch. As soon as you make contact with the target, bring your foot back and retreat back into safety. Now, when you throw a double jab, don't do what most people do, where you're gonna go, that's not a double jab, that's bullshit. Pardon my French, right? This is not effective. All you're doing is giving your opponent the ability to counterpunch around your arm. And you won't be able to effectively parry it because you're not going to be able to hit the punch out of the way while your arm is extended. So when you throw a double jab, have the discipline to throw the jab all the way out, bring it all the way back, throw it all the way out again. It'll be slow at first, like everything in any type of skill acquisition that you do. It's going to take a while for it to get good. But once you get that speed down, you're going to have a significantly more effective double jab, right? So for a reference point, like that, right? Stabs straight out, comes right back, elbow stays down, I rotate from the forearm. So that should be a pretty good starting point. I've got an entire manual written that these videos are supposed to be augmenting. Check out the video. I'll have a link in the comments. Thank you very much. Have a good day.